What is up, everybody? Neil McDevitt here, and in this video I'm going to cover some misconceptions about the technology that we're building. I see a lot of people saying some very interesting things, to say the least. So a lot of it is pretty unrealistic, especially given the data. The data that we have says quite the opposite of what people are saying. And also, if you see this new black box behind me, I'm building a PC to run open source models. I am going to talk a lot more about hardware, running open source models, and having decentralization, having your own local models and energy technology and infrastructure that you own personally. That way you can be more autonomous in the future and not have to rely on universal basic income, so that you can be entrepreneurial and be free to be autonomous as a human and not have to rely on somebody else giving you handouts. Okay, that's kind of where I'm steering this channel a little bit. But nonetheless, what I want to talk about is really this entire video can be summarized by a single quote by Mark Andreessen. And that is, "We are the masters of technology. Technology is not the master of us." Super simple. And that is something that a lot of people are getting twisted right now. Even if super intelligence becomes 1,000 times smarter than any single human, or even if it becomes as smart as all of collective humanity combined, we will still be the masters of that technology. Now, that breaks a lot of people's brains. People are going to be like, that's impossible. That literally tears people's brains down until they don't exist anymore. And here's a simple explanation. So humans are evolved beings. We are evolved by evolution. The universe programmed us over billions of years, and we are specifically programmed to be very competitive. We are programmed to be selfish. If you read Richard Dawkins, The Selfish Gene, you probably know a little bit about this. We are programmed to be these murderistic, hedonistic creatures, these monkeys that like to do messed up things, be very selfish and compete and do all these things. We are what you would call a species. Welcome to the animal kingdom, right? We are a species. Now, let's look at artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, some people call it a species. I personally say it's not. And the definition, the thing that a species has and that the AI doesn't have, is specifically the evolutionary biology, the evolutionary programming, right? So I guess in some way you could say that AI has evolution, but it's human evolution. Not in the sense of like humans evolving, but humans evolving the technology itself, right? So the universe programs humans. It literally coded us. It generated our code, which is like our DNA. Humans are the ones that are programming the AI. And more specifically, free markets. The free markets are programming the AI. The free markets are natural selection for the artificial intelligence, right? So the free markets do not select for an AI that is malevolent. They do not select for, like, whenever Google launched their AI and it was very woke, we did not select for that model. People immediately stopped using it, right? And then even today, Google has a very bad reputation. They're starting to come back because their models are getting pretty good. But for a long time, nobody, as far as I knew, I definitely didn't use any Google models after that. That was pissing me off when I saw that. But free markets are natural selection, and that was an obvious example of it. So if somebody creates a malevolent, evil AI, people aren't going to select that. It's as simple as that. The free markets will not select for that. I do think people will inevitably make those AIs. They will do that. The entire premise here is that there is more good people than evil people. Therefore, the good people will create the amount of good people creating AI will probably be greater than the amount of evil people creating AI. Therefore, let's use the driving on the road analogy. Whenever I'm driving in the road, like 99.9% of people are just trying to go from A to B. Every once in a while, like 0.1% of the time, you'll get that crazy person that just likes to run into people. it'll probably be like the same thing with AI. Like 99.99% of people are just trying to do work and be a good person, a good citizen. And every once in a while, you get to like that 0.1%, 0.01% of people that try to like build a evil AI and take over the world. Currently, I don't see any evidence of that happening. Maybe there is some kid in his basement, in his mom's basement, like using his little computer cluster to try to build an evil AI, and it literally just, all it can do is like give you like say fuck you, and that's pretty much the extent of evil things it can do. I'm guaranteed that's happening. But the entire premise here is AI is not a species, and even if it does become very sentient, if it has even more levels of consciousness than humans, guess what? It's still going to obey humans. It's the simple analogy of evolution. Like let's say the universe programmed humans to think ants are divine creatures. I think we would probably treat ants a little bit differently, don't you think? Right? So if we are programming AI to think humans are divine creatures, it's probably going to treat us pretty well, don't you think? So it's very simple. It's real. Like Max Tegmark is actually the one who predicted this in Life 3.0. And the very weird thing is Max Tegmark is currently like a very pronounced person in the Doomer cult. I don't understand why, because exactly what he predicted in Life 3.0 is coming true. Yet he is like the most effective altruist Doomer cult narrative type of person right now, which is weird. It's just absolutely blows my mind, because literally the physical data that we have, the empirical evidence, says exactly what he predicted in Life 3.0 is correct, which is these AI systems are just basically do what we designed them to. That's what the evidence says so far. And if we have one that becomes unaligned, guess what? Don't use it. Ta-da! Shut it off. It's not that difficult. But I really don't see any evidence of that. So that's that. It's first of all, it's not a species. Number two, we're always going to have leverage over this technology, whether you want to believe it or not. I'm sorry. Like if you have these like crazy sci-fi ideas that have been propagated into your mind, it's probably not true. Just saying, like, don't believe in the supernatural. Yes, I believe these systems will become super intelligent. Yes, I believe they could even have like sentience, maybe even consciousness at higher levels than ours. Potentially. I don't know that either, but potentially. But one thing they definitely do not have is biological evolution, or just long-term evolution. Humans are specifically the things programming these things, not the universe. Therefore, they're not competitive. Therefore, they're not selfish. In fact, they're quite the opposite. Okay, so that's that. Next is people are like, okay, well, if AGI or ASI is going to be so much more capable than every single human at any single thing anybody can do, like, what is the point of doing anything in life anymore? Like, why would I want to start a business? Why would I want to be an entrepreneur? Why would I want to do anything? Well, it's simple. Who's going to own the AI? Like, I'm sure there will be like some AIs that are like free and autonomous, if you want to say that, and they just kind of like operate in the economy like a normal free human. But there will also be, just like there are today, like humans that work jobs, there will be AIs that work jobs. Quite obvious to me. And there will also be AIs that don't. Quite obvious to me. Like there'll be an AI entrepreneur that runs like an entirely autonomous company, and then there will be humans that run an AI powered company. And guess what? Humans will merge with that AI. And there will be probably a group of humans that choose not to. And then there will be a group of humans that do choose to. And the group of humans that choose to will like go to incredible heights that are unfathomable to the people who choose not to merge. And guess what? Those humans that choose to merge will be just as smart as the super intelligent AI. Just as smart. Like literally, we've actually done these experiments where if you take like two hemispheres of a brain and you split them apart, like you now have just half of a brain. It is a completely different person. You put it back together, now it's the same person again. So what happens whenever you have a super intelligent model and you merge it with your brain? The container changes. It's not that you put two containers together this way. It's that it's an entirely new one container. So yes, you'll be just as smart. Just as smart. But guess what? You'll be a species and be just as smart. You'll still have your same desires unless you take them out via force. Like, it's totally possible that you as an individual decide, okay, I'm going to rip out everything that makes me competitive, rip out all of these genetics inside of me that make me do these things, and you'll have the option to do that. And that could be quite possible in the future. I'm not going to say it's not. There's also going to be people who say, oh, I love competitiveness. Let's add some more of that in there. Just because they can. And some people like that. Welcome to reality. So I fully expect that to happen. And I think it would be unrealistic to think it wouldn't. So, yeah, we will own this technology. We are the orchestrators of technology. We are the owners of technology. Technology is not the orchestrators or owners of us. Period. Okay, I think I covered that. And we will be the ones that deploy this technology and reap the benefits from it. Period. There will be certain types of this technology that are completely autonomous. Very happy to agree with that. There will be like completely autonomous businesses. And then there'll be 99.9999% autonomous businesses where you have one single human that owns the entire thing. And then basically the AI runs all of the operations, and the human is simply the chairman of the company. The company is completely autonomous. The human is the chairman of the company. He doesn't even have to do anything. It just runs on its own. That'll happen. So now, like, that begs the question, like, well, what is the most logical thing to do today to maximize the probability of being in the best position in the future? That's the most logical question to ask, given this data, given this information. This is empirical data, by the way. This isn't some sci-fi in a book type of shit. This is like, okay, these are logical things that could happen. Like some of this is theoretical. Let's be honest. Like, yeah, some of this is theoretical. But also, this isn't like, oh, this is like the idea that this is like this divine, godlike species that's going to be this thing that is completely autonomous and overpowers every single human on Earth. Come on now. Like, sure, I guess there will be people who program it to do that, but the amount of people who select for the opposite of that programming will outweigh the people who do select it. Therefore, the monolithic AI, which I don't believe in, the AI that is the most powerful, or the amount of intelligent systems that are extremely powerful will be much greater than the ones that are evil, right? So yeah, it's a very basic thing to reason about. Like, these conversations just kind of blow my mind. And it simply comes from like the doomer cult. Like, they throw all these crazy, insane narratives around, which is literally the most, like, some of them are absolutely insane. I don't even know how, like, these ideas come about. I guess it comes from, like, science fiction books, which are literally science fiction books. That means they, like, sometimes do and many times don't have any grounding in reality. So, yeah. I do, again, think these systems are going to become super powerful. I think we will manage the systems quite well. I think they will listen to us. They will treat us like divine creatures, and we will be the masters and orchestrators of this technology, not the other way around. And we will still build businesses. We will still be entrepreneurial, and we will reap the benefits of this technology indefinitely, period. And eventually, yeah, it's probably likely that we'll merge, we'll transcend, and we'll still, guess what? I'll have a neural link in my head, and just by thinking, I'll be able to create billions of dollars in value per second just by thinking, in today's terms of value, just by thinking, because that could be possible. If we have that much automation and my brain connects to my compute, and the compute leverages the AI that leverages all of the hardware robotics, yeah, definitely, absolutely, that'll happen. And I'll be just as smart as that AI, just as smart, not separate. It's not, this technology in general has never happened in a vacuum from humans. It's not an isolated thing from humans. It literally happens symbiotically with humans, right? That's kind of like the entire idea of human AI symbiosis, even though, like, people use the word AI to talk, or not the word AI, people symbiosis is like a biological thing with two species. I guess you could kind of like say this technological species, blah, 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 blah. Sure, you could say it's a technological species if you really want to go that far, but it depends on your definition of a species. Maybe I need to freshen up on that definition myself. Another interesting thing is the possibility of digitization of an organism. I do think it could be possible that by the end of this year, we do digitize an entire cell, and by that point, we'll figure out like how probable is this simulation, not the entire simulation hypothesis, but how plausible is it to digitize a human? Um, if we can digitize a cell and then a multicellular organism and then a mouse, and that we figure out that basically it's the same exact thing, and then we digitize like a monkey and we figure out it's like the same exact thing, then we digitize a human and we can figure out some mechanistic way to measure that. It very well could be plausible that we all become like digitized, and at that point, literally, energy and compute is the lifeblood of humans. It's no longer oxygen and food. It's now a fusion reactor. Instead of eating food, it's a fusion reactor, and instead of brain matter, it is computronium. So I don't know if that one will continue to be true. Even if that one doesn't come true, just something like the Neuralink, energy and compute are still the same thing. Like they're going to be just as valuable. Maybe not, maybe a little bit less valuable because it's not literally life anymore, but it is your livelihood because that's how intelligent and capable you are. It's completely directly dictated by the amount of energy and compute you can capture and deploy, and the access to open source models that you have. It's literally dictated by that and nothing else in the future, which is why if you're watching my YouTube channel, the entire thing is built from first principles upwards of energy, compute, AI. Like literally, the future goal is to have energy being the fundamental unit of economics in the community, having it digitized on the blockchain, and we literally trade energy in the community. That's not here yet, but it is in the works, and also our cloud or distributed cloud computing infrastructure is also in the works. But yeah, if we can form some type of digitization, like literally, as much energy and computronium as you have and the amount of sophisticated computational patterns that you can leverage, that is physically how smart you are. That and data, right? The amount of data, which everybody will have access to data by that point. Most likely, because we already do today. I don't think people are just going to like hoard data. If anything, data will become more abundant and people will have more access. Because that's been the trend so far. Again, all of this I'm trying to make very empirical and based in real world evidence as much as possible while extrapolating into the theoretical stuff. So yeah, so really all of this comes down to like, what is the most logical thing any human, any sentient being can do today? Literally the most logical thing we can do is build a community of people who are excited about the future, understand this technology, want to adapt with this technology, and lean into the future the best way possible, the most effective way possible to maximize their position in the future. Build a community of those types of individuals. Maximize energy, maximize compute, maximize the probability of you having the ability to run the most powerful open source models in the future. That is literally the community I'm building. You don't have to make many assumptions or secondary or tertiary consequences, assumptions to arrive at this conclusion. This is a very logical thing to do. You make one assumption, and that assumption is, actually, you could say you could make two assumptions, and that assumption is energy will continue to be needed and compute will continue to be needed. And also, you could say a third assumption, that one human is less powerful than multiple humans, because one human will have a reasonable amount of energy, a reasonable amount of compute, maybe can run a reasonable amount of AI, but a collection of humans, a community of humans, guess what they can do? They can run a lot of energy, a lot of compute, and a lot of super powerful models and do a lot of things. So again, the most logical thing anybody can do right now, build a community, maximize energy, maximize compute. If you agree with that, join my community below, because that's literally all we do. That being said, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Just wanted to cover some of these wild misconceptions and give myself a shameless plug at the end.